and I am so pleased to now turn the floor over and introduce Kelly Etheridge, who's going to talk to us about the difficult task of finding a balance between pedagogy and kind of lesson design and teaching technology skills. Kelly?
Hi, everyone. I'm so thrilled to be here, and thank you so much for the opportunity. What I want to talk about today is, Tracy hit on the nail, the idea that when we start talking about technology integration and the concept of having teachers use technology in the classroom, what I found when I first started that process about 10 years ago was that everyone wanted to focus on the tech skills. And how do I use Movie Maker? What do I do with it? They didn't really see the difference in how it was going to transform their teaching practices. And so what I kept trying to get to was that, and what we want our teachers to understand, is that it's really not about a device initiative or a technology integration initiative, but it's about a learning initiative. And how can the technology, just like a pen or a calculator or the phone or whatever technology you have at your fingertips, how can that transform the learning into engaging and learning activities that have a deeper understanding? Just a little background on me. I'm called the Teaching and Learning Resource Director at my school. We are a pre-K through 12 school, and 7 through 12, our students all have laptops, and we're about to kind of scale that down to 5th and 6th grade. We started out with it being a voluntary. You could sign up to have classes with laptops, and then we moved to a mandatory program. And when that started, I also teach literature. And when that started, I was the one who became the trainer of everyone else because I had been doing the class with the laptop longer than everyone else. And what happened was that it became very tech skill heavy rather than focusing on pedagogy. And I didn't want it to be that way, but I was trying to meet the needs of the faculty members at the time. And what ultimately, I'd say, how can I meet your needs? And the first question that everybody, or the first statement that everybody would say was, well, teach me how to use Movie Maker, or teach me how to use Wikispaces. And so I did it. And I had how-to sessions on Word and PowerPoint and Movie Maker. And we did them in the summer, and I would always say, okay, well, I'll teach them to you, but you have to show me how you're going to use it in a lesson. And they would create a lesson that they were going to use during the year with that tool. But unfortunately what happened was when that school returned and they got back into the swing of things, they went to their filing cabinet, they pulled out their old lesson, and they didn't implement it because they had actually forgotten how to use it, and they didn't want to admit that they had forgotten how to use it, I think, to some degree. So what I found was, I went to my boss and I said, this isn't working, and I went and got peer coaching training, and with that peer coaching training, I was able to kind of shift the mindset for everyone that I interacted with and said, okay, we're going to do technology improvement, and we're going to do lesson improvement plans. And with that, we'll find how technology will be utilized in the classroom. And as we're building out these new lessons, they would say, well, I don't know what technology to use, so I can't build my lesson. I don't know what's out there. And I would go, just tell me what you want to do, and I will give you different options of technology that could be used. And it pushed pull that until they knew what technology, until they felt insecure and scared, that really comes down to a large degree for many of the teachers who are been practicing, been teaching for a long time, and then they've got these technology tools in front of them. They're scared because they don't know how to use them, and they don't feel comfortable, and so they need that security of knowing what it is before they send their students off to do it. And so one day somebody said, give me a tape. And I said, okay, well, I can do that. And ultimately what we came up with, what was called tech tasting. And it was a 45-minute session, very much a teach-me type session. I would pick about 8 to 10 tech tools, different technologies, different programs that I felt like people could really hook into, try to make it broad enough that it would apply to, of course, a pre-K through 12 audience. And there was something for every discipline in the room. And I would have about 5 minutes or less for each tool. And if there was somebody in the room that I knew had used that tool, I would get them to share how they used it in their classroom. But if there wasn't, I would give them some practical ways that they could use it. And it was just enough of a tease that if they were interested in it, they could go to this resource page that had more information. So then I was able to differentiate instruction in that the teacher who all they needed to know was what was out there, and they could figure out how to use it in their classroom with a Word document that has instructions on it, could go ahead and implement that. Or if they were more secure with me coming in and helping with the class or helping them before the class to use the tool, then they could do that as well. And these one-on-one sessions worked really well. The people who went to the resource page really liked what they got there. And you see there's the link of the straight to the tech tasting part of the Wikispace. And that's how the Wikispace actually was born. It started off with just these tech tastings. And then ultimately what happened is that it grew into a whole lot more. Because the benefits of this little taste, and I'll have to say that we made it lighthearted, and at the tech tastings we would have sparkling cider and little hors d'oeuvres for them so that they could snack as we did it. So almost it was like a wine tasting on tech skills. But the benefits were that they felt heard, and they gained some confidence and realized that they could use these tools, even though they hadn't, learned everything about all of them. The one that kind of rang true with them, the one that really made them feel like they could do that, or they wanted their students to use that tool, they felt confident enough in it to go after it and get the skills that they needed. And from that confidence and from feeling heard, they became more willing to explore even more in different learning design methods. And then we were able to start having those conversations, and the scale got a little more balanced. It was more, okay, we've at least got where pedagogy and the technology are on the same level. It's not it's not completely tech heavy. And that if they found out that a colleague was working on with the same tool, then they were willing to share and talk about those with others so that they could learn even more about how they could use it in different classes. And so we really started moving towards that learning initiative. That was 2 years ago. And what's happened over those 2 years is that we've been able to progress even further. And over the last 2 years, I've been able to take information from what they've done and little surveys that we've done and use that to hone in on the 21st century skills that we really haven't touched yet. We did really, we improved on the concept of using technology as a resource rather than just that add-on of a project at the end, because we have to have technology in our lessons. And so we got it tied into it. But there's still some gaps on having a real-world application, having it tied to something that matters to our students. And so we've been able to progress and move to those types of conversations and use those 21st century learning design rubrics that we talked about last week. And with teachers, they can think about their lessons in a different way. And we've been able to collaborate more and more. They're getting to that stage that I wanted to be at a while back, where we're more apt to think about our pedagogy first, rather than rather than just knowing how to use the technology, and focusing on how the technology can enhance the learning goal. So that, in a nutshell, the simple version of what we've been doing.
Kelly, thank you so very much. It's funny because I'm literally writing a blog today, and it's titled "Is Investment in One-to-One Student-to-Device Ratio Worth It?" And really, it's all about what you've just discussed. That putting the tools first, it doesn't really do anything transformative. And so what's most important is starting with the learning outcome, learning outcome, learning outcome, learning outcome, and then deciding which is the right technology tool to enhance or accelerate the desired learning outcome. So I think that you've done a great job of highlighting, that challenge that you face on a day-to-day basis with your educators. I was also, if those of you on the phone are interested, you can watch this morning's on-demand webcast because, there were other presentations, and Lombe from the UK was on, and it reminded me, Kelly, a little bit of his presentation, and he called it Playing to Build Educator Capacity, and it was, watch me play, allowing some free play, then structured and guided play, and then playing together. And that was really around, yes, understanding and being able to utilize the technology, but then applying it in the classroom. And what I love about what you're saying is, again, what we know from research is that, just in case, technology training doesn't work. And just in time works much better, and it sounds like that's what you're doing in sitting down with the educators and looking at the actual activities, in a more kind of daily basis, what they want to do, where they want to head, and then helping them integrate it just in time, not just in case. So thank you so very much, and if you have questions for Kelly, please utilize the question and answer pane, and with that,